The Brunskill process.
Hmm.
When did that start? How did that start? And what's your role in it each week?
Well, I think it started after the. Who do we play after Cleveland? Oh, the games were Atlanta. I think that's when it first started, and he had done some in the past in his career, so that was an easy move. And we bought Rucci up because we also had obviously down Julian and Darren, so that's why we were able to do that. He has done it before, and Mike really was the impetus behind it happening and all that. I was sitting there trying to figure out what we are going to do, and he's like, "Hey, here it is." He still does a lot of stuff with Butch, and then there's little nuances or different things I'll tell him about how we do certain plays and all that. But because Dan's versatility, he's played pretty much every position on the line, and knowing all the line calls and all that, what we're trying to do, and being a smart player like he is, it was able to make that transition fairly easy.
And what has it done for this offense? I mean,
Well, it's allowed us to do some things that we wanted to continue to do in the run game, using him and then using Rooch while Julian was out. Now that Julian's back, we can do more of our stuff with Julian and still, do some stuff with Danny because he does help us when we're going against maybe some bigger type bodies and all that. So I'm sure it's something that we'll continue on in our package and keep it going, not just this year, but, as long as Dan's on this team.
We've seen more great blocks from Julian, obviously, with the A-chain runs and other things.
Yes.
How close, in your mind, John, is he to becoming what you would view as an elite blocker?
I would say there's a few things. I won't go into details of what that I'm trying to work on him with. I think once he cleans those two or three things up, he'll be that because he has the right mindset. He's very smart. He sees what defenses are trying to do. He's able to make adjustments on the fly, like on the first touchdown run. Technically, that wasn't his guy, but he picked him up and then got another guy. So he's really starting to understand what we're trying to get accomplished with our runs, and that allows him to play a little bit freer. So I think once we clean up a couple things with him, he'll be that guy that, hopefully will be the standard of what you're looking for in a blocking tight end.
why have you always been sold on him?
Yeah, I know it wasn't very popular to be sold on him as I have. A few things. One, his mindset and mentality. It's very important to him. He takes a lot of pride in his work. And I know sometimes it can be perceived as coach speak, but really it's a process to being a tight end in the NFL. 95% of these kids coming out of college don't play NFL football at the tight end position. They're flexed out or they're not asked to block. They're not asked to do a lot of things that we're asking them to do. And so therefore it's going to be a process. And I just knew working with him and seeing what was in his body and seeing, how he thought and was able to communicate with them, that it was just a matter of time and it was just a matter of how fast he could progress. I know it probably wasn't as fast as maybe what he wanted or other people wanted, but I have an expression I tell the guys, I will never let you drown. Now, you may be going underwater and coming up, but I'll never let you go under and stay under. So it's a slow process when I'm teaching guys on what they need to do. It's I very rarely teach the room as everybody. In other words, I teach you different than I may teach that, and so with him where he was, it was just there were certain things I needed to get him to do before he could do the next step, and he knew what the next step was, and sometimes he wanted to do the next step and skip the step that we needed to work on, so that kind of delayed it a little bit. And then once he figured out, and part of it's probably trust, you got to have that relationship where they trust you. And once all that kind of got going, I think we're starting to see the fruits. And I still believe, he's still scratching the surface because I think there's things he can do in the pass game. He missed that one pass behind him. But in our room, you touch it, you catch it. And I throw a bunch of low balls to my guys every day. And so those are the hardest ones for big guys to catch. And, he'll make that next time. But you see him making some contributions in the pass game as well.
Coach, with the tight ends in the running game, like obviously, we've seen Devon this year. If you give him a crease, he can go the distance. And obviously, you want to coach it, the same way, regardless of the running back. But I'm curious, when you have Devon, capable of making that game-changing play, does it add a little bit of motivation to your guys in terms of how they block it because he can change the game with one crease?
I'd like to say yes because it'd be a good story, but a lot of times they don't even know who's in the game. We're running in and out. We're in different personnel groups. So a lot of times they don't even know who the back is in the game. But again, going back to Julian and how Dolchich just played and Waller and Rooch and Tanner when he's in there, the one thing, if you're going to be successful in the run game, is you have to have strain. And so you block your guy, great. Something else isn't, it isn't right. The picture isn't right. You find somebody, you block it, and you keep going and you keep going. And so when you're doing that, no matter who's carrying the ball, they're going to have success.
With Rooch, who you mentioned, how frustrating is it as a coach to invest time and lose him for factors which are understandable?
Yeah.
You needed a roster spot
Right,
for Waller,
it's just-
and there is a waiver process, and teams can claim guys.
Right.
But when you saw he was claimed by Detroit, was it a rats? Was it more than that for you?
Yeah, it was more than rats. Yes. Words that my mother would not be happy with. It took me about 5 minutes, and then I talked to him on the phone. I'm happy. It's a great opportunity for him, obviously. And then I told him I reached out to Ross Dwelly. Ross is the guy I had that was in a similar situation who's in Detroit to kind of take him under the wing and help him, make the adjustments. So I'm happy for him, and I get it. It's part of the business of this game, unfortunately. And, you get this late in the year and, teams are making pushes and doing different things. And so you just never know who needs what or might, make that claim and all that. And you just, you got to go with the odds, and they got us this time.
I'm curious, how do you view the usage of Darren Waller? Like, it seems like there isn't as much usage as I guess a lot of us would expect, considering he might not be here next year, all this stuff. I'm curious how you view the usage of Darren Waller.
Well, part of it is just, just the health, now that he's coming back. Again, I just don't want to, throw him out there and give him 50 plays. And then, risk it, you still got to get in shape and all those different things. Game shape is different than practice and all that. And, as he continues to stay healthy and all that, I'm sure his usage will increase. But also I think it goes to the testament, too, of, Dolchich has done a lot of good things for us as well. And, again, like I told you, Julian showing some in the past game. So it just all depends on the spots. We pick and choose. When Darren and Julian and Greg were all healthy, we put all three out there. So there's a lot of different things we can do and have done, to try to get our guys out there to make plays. And it's a good problem for Mike to have a lot of people that he's trying to get the ball to. And he does a good job of doing that, spreading the wealth. And same with Tua, delivering the ball. So Darren's great in the room. That's what I love about my room. No one, as I say, we don't count other people's money. They're not like, well, how come he's getting this route and he got that pass and I didn't? One score, we all score. The Julian's block, when he came to the sideline, Darren and Dolch they were fired up. They could see it kind of happening and excited for him. So that's what I really love about the room, because we're really, whoever gets it done in there, it represents all of us.
I got a question for Jon Embree, assistant head coach. Why are we seeing the success right now from you guys as a team that we're seeing? It's not just the schedule because you beat Buffalo, right? And is this the way you should have been playing all year? Or what's going on?
Well, it's hard to say. I think if we knew it, in the first couple years, we started fast and then faded at the end. And then this year we didn't get the fast start, and now we're starting to hit our stride. So I think it's something that, we'll look at. I've started kind of trying to look at it for end of the year interviews with Mike and have some ideas on that and see what it is. Is it something we're doing in camp? Is it something we're not getting done? All those things I know will be evaluated, because I do know this, all the different places I've been. Last year, the OTA segment of our offseason program I thought was pretty dang good. One of the better ones that I've been a part of. So It's probably something with camp. I think you got injuries and you got new players coming in, so the chemistry is a little different and the communications and all that. So that's all stuff that I know we'll look at when the year's done and try to figure out what it is that we can do so we can get a fast start and then now put a whole season together and let's see what happens.
You know, and one of my personal theories is you really don't know a team until like maybe November that like you
Right.
start out thinking this is how we're going to win, but in reality, this is how you win.
Yeah.
Are we seeing a little bit of that with this team?
Yeah, I believe so, and that's true for the league because it's always funny. They go like, oh, they have an easy schedule, you know, like certain teams, like, oh, they're playing this, this, and this, and then also like, well, yeah, those three teams all of a sudden are now like, you know, 1, 2, 3 seeds, right? Not talking about us, but just in general. That's I kind of laugh when the schedule comes out in May or June, whenever they come out with it, and oh, we'll win this one, and you know, I got them going 12-5, and they're gonna win. Like you have no idea because of injuries, weather, your team coming together as far as chemistry. There's so many factors that go into it, and then oh yeah, by the way, now that team is like when Detroit went, what was it, 15-2. No one saw that. But there might have been people like, oh, they got Detroit, they got, you know, and it doesn't work out that way. So I think it's a little bit of, you know, a few factors that go into that. And it's, but the main thing is I'm glad because it's right now we are hitting our stride, you know. And so we got to continue with the momentum, and it's going to be a difficult task, you know, playing the Jets. They're starting to try to hit their stride. So it'll be a fun game to play. Go up there and play, and we'll see what happens.